All right, now the last figure that we're going to talk about in section 6.6 and what we're going to end the chapter with is a kite. All right, it's another special quadrilateral, so it's a four-sided figure. Now a kite is a quadrilateral that has exactly two pairs of congruent consecutive sides. So now it's consecutive sides, so it's not just congruent sides, but they must be consecutive. All right, so here we have two consecutive congruent sides there, and then two consecutive congruent sides there. So this is a kite A, B, C, D. All right, now, some of the properties that a kite has is that its diagonals are perpendicular. So we know that this measurement here is 90 degrees. All right, and they have exactly one pair. There's exactly one pair of opposite angles that are congruent. So it's not two, but it's exactly one pair of opposite angles. And the pair that are always going to be congruent is the angles that's created from the two sides that are not the same measure, that are not congruent. So these two here are not the consecutive congruent angles. So that means this angle that's created between the two of them is going to be congruent to the other angle that's created between the two non-consecutive congruent angles. All right, so it will always be those two angles that are congruent. And then the other angles that are created from the two congruent sides coming together, they are not congruent. All right, so there's only one pair of opposite angles, and it's always the pair that is created from the two sides that are not congruent. All right, so then from here, so now what we're going to do is solve for the measure of angle 1, 2, and 3. All right, so just like before, there's a few angles, and there's one angle in here that is really, really easy to solve for. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to, the measure of angle 2 is equal to, and the measure of angle 3 is equal to. All right, we know since it is a kite that the diagonals are perpendicular. So right away, I know that the measure of angle 1 is 90 degrees. All right, and then I know that 52 plus angle 1 plus 2 is equal to 180. So 52 plus angle 1, which I know is 90, plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. 52 plus 90 is 144, or 142. Plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. Subtract over 142. And that means the measure of angle 2 is then equal to 38 degrees. All right, now, if you think about this for a second. If this is a kite, these are the two congruent sides, and these are two congruent sides. All right, we know that they have a consecutive congruent side, and clearly DG is not congruent to DF. All right, so not only, so that means, and this is a right angle. So this triangle here and this triangle here are both right triangles. And they both have congruent hypotenuses. And they share this leg. So that means these two triangles are in fact congruent. So that means this angle is congruent to this angle is congruent to this angle. And then that means these two triangles are also congruent, which means this angle is congruent to this angle, and then this angle is congruent to this angle. All right. So now, if we erase all this, we just proved that these two top triangles are congruent to each other based on hypotenuse leg. So that means that this 52 is congruent to this angle 3. So the measure of angle 3 is 52 degrees. All right. So that's the last question I'm going to go over with you guys. This one here, you guys are going to do yourselves, and you're going to hand in. This is section 6.6.2. You'll hand this in on your notes. Remember, take a picture, write it out, and then take a picture for me. It's just a little bit easier that way. You don't need to show me all your notes. You just need to show me this answer. All right, so you're solving for the measure of angle 1, the measure of angle 2, and the measure of angle 3. All right, that is it for this video. That's it for this chapter. And then there's one other video I'm going to go through which has kind of a review for some of the sections that we've done.